Hello and welcome. We are going to work through the 3 warrior poses today. So warrior 1, warrior 2, and warrior 3. And after we have an understanding of all 3 of them individually, we'll put them together. And these 3 warrior poses, or Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3, can be used anytime you want to create a little bit of energy or a little bit of heat and liveliness in the body. So let's start with Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. In Warrior 1, you're going to stand at the very top of your yoga mat. And you want to feel your hands on your hip bones and feel how both of your hips are pointing toward the front of the mat. From there, put a little bit of extra weight into your left foot and take your right foot and step it back once, twice, 3 times. And with your eyes, look back at your right big toe and see that your right big toe points at the top right corner of the mat. That means your back foot is at a 45-degree angle. From there, let's check in with the hips again, pointing both hips to the front of the mat and putting a big bend in the front left knee until it's stacked right on top of your ankle. From here, invite your front knee to point a little more at your pinky toe than your big toe, and you want to just feel that your knee isn't collapsing in, but rather opening out in a slight way. Next, with hands on hips, put a little lift in your belly so you grow a bit taller. This is enough. If you'd like, you can add the arms, lifting both up towards the sky. And you made it to Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1. And we'll stay looking either over the tip of the nose or slowly starting to close the eyes and flirt with your balance as we hold for 5 breaths. To leave the shape, you can take your hands back to your hips, start to lengthen through the front leg, and lean the upper body forward as you step the back foot in once, twice, 3 times, as many times as it takes to get it back to the top of the mat. And you can see that I have a chair here at the top of my yoga mat. You'll need it a little bit later, but you can always keep a chair at the top of the mat so that its edge can be like a railing that helps support you in transition and in balance. Okay, let's do the exact same thing on the second side, Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1. So this time, we'll leave the right foot right where it is. Take your hands to your hips, feel that they're both pointing forward. Take the left leg and step it back 1, 2, 3 times until there's a bit of distance between your feet. And the exact distance is not important. It's something that feels challenging but yet sustainable. With your eyes, you want to see that your back left big toe points at the top left corner of the mat. And if it feels just not comfortable, you can always widen the space between your feet, which will mean I'll just step my left foot out to the left even more. Once you're good in your feet, you want to feel a big bend in your front right knee until it lands right over your ankle. Invite your knee to point more at your pinky toe than your big toe. Hands to hips to check in that they're both facing forward. And either we hold the hips or lift the arms to the sky, settle the gaze over the tip of the nose or closed, and hold for 5 breaths. we'll exit the same way. Hands come to hips. I'm going to start lengthening the front leg as I lean the weight forward and heel toe or even step the back foot forward. And once you've made it to the front of the mat, release your hands, roll out your shoulders a few times. And we'll move into Warrior 2 or Virabhadrasana 2. Now this one is different. So instead of the hips facing forward, the hips are open in Warrior 2. So stand parallel to the top of your mat, the same way I just changed. And we're going to make the letter T with the feet. So the left foot is going to turn so the toes point at the top of the mat. Hands to hips or chair or whatever makes you feel steady. To cross your right foot to your left, making the letter T when you look down. Now your feet are going to stay in this letter T shape, but we're going to widen the distance between them. So hands to hips or chair as you step the right foot back 1, 2, 3 times, as many times as you want to really, until again you feel there's a challenging distance between your feet that is still sustainable. From here, look and see that your T is still there. Now the back leg is going to stay straight, front leg bends, knee over ankle if possible. Or just in that direction also works well. Same with the knee. We want to open the knee towards the pinky toe side of the foot as much as possible. Hands to hips. Feel that the hips are open, pointing to the long side of the mat. Choices. Hands to hips. Or for a little bit more of an energetic practice, you'll open your arms wide into a T shape, feeling that your back arm is as tall and alive as your front. Your eyes look over the front middle finger, and you made it. And we'll hold for 5 breaths in Virabhadrasana 2 or Warrior 2. To exit, let your hands gently come back down and find your hips. Begin to lengthen that left leg back out. And you can heel toe the right foot back in or step all the way back up to the top of the mat. And we'll do the exact same thing on the second side, finding Warrior 2. This time, the right foot stays at the top of the mat. Hands to hips while you walk the left foot back, looking down to see the letter T in your feet. And another way to say that is front heel intersects the back arch. When you've found the appropriate distance between your feet, back leg stays straight, front right knee bends in the direction of being right over the ankle eventually maybe. Knee leans towards the pinky toe. Hips are facing open to the long side of the mat. Hands rest either at hips or open wide like a T. Back arm as full of life as the front. As the eyes look over the front middle finger. And we settle for 5 deep breaths. Let's come out the same way so that you begin to release the hands back to the hips. Straighten out through the front leg, right leg. Heel toe the left foot in as many times as it takes to step the left foot forward to meet the right at the top of your mat. So as a review, warrior one is where the hands are up and the hips are forward. Warrior two is when the hands are open wide and the hips are open to the side of the mat. Warrior three, or Virabhadrasana 3, is a lot different. It's a balancing pose that can be really challenging. So I have a chair here at the top of the mat to make this just more doable. So first, I'm going to take both hands and place them on the chair's edge. From there, I'm walking my feet backwards until it feels like my upper body is parallel to the ground. And this alone might feel good and be a place you want to stay. Gently opening up through the shoulders and giving your tail a little wag from side to side while you bend one knee and then the other. It can feel nice. To move this towards warrior three, I'm gonna keep my upper body where it is, but bring my feet together so that my big toes are touching each other, but the heels are just a little bit apart. Good, now hold on to the chair so you feel steady. And just flirt with shifting the weight into the left foot more than the right, and see how that feels. That might be it. If you want to keep going, you're going to feel that your knees are soft, which is another way of saying, don't lock your knees. Let them stay easy as you bend your right knee just enough to feel the left foot, or excuse me, just enough to feel the right foot come up off the ground. And your body's going to tell you if that's okay, or if it would be more wise to keep both feet on the earth. If it's okay to have that right foot up off the ground, you're going to start to lift it straight back behind you. And it might be an inch above the ground, it might be 6 or 7, and it might come parallel to the body. So that eventually we're in a straight line from fingers to foot, parallel to the earth. And to fine tune even more, you feel the inner thighs come towards each other and the pinky toe point down towards the earth. And this one's trickier to stay in and hold, so maybe you stay for 5 breaths, maybe you start over 5 times. But either way, we're trying. To exit, we'll of course bring the right foot back down to meet the left. My knee is soft while I do that. I'm going to keep holding onto the chair, walk my feet back up towards the top of the mat. And when I make it, I'm taking a break. Rolling out through the shoulders and checking to make sure I'm still breathing. Very often when we practice balancing poses, the body doesn't breathe. So just notice if that happened to you, and we'll try extra hard to make sure we keep breathing on the second side. Hands coming back to the chair. Feet start to walk back in space until the upper body is kind of parallel to the ground and you're folding a bit. Pause to wag the tail and move in ways that feel good. Stay or bring the feet together so big toes touch but heels do not. Soft knees. Shift weight into the right foot. See how that feels. And maybe you pick your left foot up a little bit and put it back down, just to explore if that's a helpful sensation or maybe not. If it's feeling all right, we'll keep going. Left foot comes up and goes back behind you. It might be an inch off the ground, it might be more, until you are eventually parallel to the earth. Straight line from the fingers to the foot, holding as long as the body will let you with steady breath. And perhaps it can be more important and interesting that you're breathing than anything else. To exit, we'll keep the right knee soft while we bring the left foot back down to the ground. Keep holding onto the chair while you walk your feet up to the top of the mat. And again, when you've made it, we'll release the chair and roll out through the shoulders and sigh out any breath that feels like stuck or not helpful. Okay, that was warrior three, the balancing one. Now we're going to attempt to put all three warrior poses, 1, 2, and 3, together and see how it feels. Let's start with warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Standing at the top of the mat, bring your hands to your hips, feel the hips face forward. Shift the weight into the left foot a little more than the right, and let the right foot step back 1, 2, 3, as many times as it takes to find that appropriate distance between the feet. Eyes check to see the back right big toe pointing at the top right corner of the mat. Knee bends over ankle, hips forward, hands up, 5 breaths. Transitioning to warrior two, bring the hands back to the hips as you lengthen your front left leg. And we're going to turn the left toes to the right side of the mat so that the whole body is now open to the long side of the mat. From here, look down to your feet. We're going to make that T shape. So we'll turn the left big toes back to the top of the mat. We'll arrange the feet so that the heel intersects the back arch in a big open wide T. We'll re-bend the front knee, feeling how the hips are open to the side of the mat, and hold either hips or lift the arms while we hold for 5 breaths. To leave, let your hands come to your hips. Start to slowly straighten the front leg and heel toe the back foot in until it feels like the feet are really pretty close. And you can take your hips, turn to the front of the mat while you spin to the back toes. Bring your hands to your chair and gently step forward, taking a moment to roll out the shoulders. Hands on the chair as you step both feet back until the upper body is parallel or parallel-ish with the ground. Feet come together. Big toes touch, heels do not. Weight shifts into the left foot. Both knees soft. Maybe the right foot comes off the ground a little, maybe not. Maybe the right foot goes back so the leg becomes straight. And eventually it lifts higher and higher until the whole body is parallel to the earth, and we'll just flirt with 5 breaths here. Hold on to the chair while you bend both knees to let the right foot come back to meet the left. Take a slow walk back to the top of the mat. And once you have made it, pause, let go of the chair, and roll out through both of your shoulders. Good. Now you can stay at the top of your mat, take a deep breath, and we'll do the exact same thing on the second side. So facing forward, this time we'll leave the right leg at the top of the mat, hands on the hips, while the left leg steps back 1, 2, 3 times towards warrior 1. When your distance is found, check that your back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Big toe points at the top left corner of the mat. Hands to hips as you settle into the front knee. And you can stay or lift your arms to the sky as the front knee points a little more to your pinky toe, and we hold for 5 breaths. Coming out, bring your hands back to your hips. Start to lengthen the front leg, and we'll pivot the whole body to the left, to that wide-legged stance where the hips are open to the long side of the mat. Look down to your feet. Let's make the letter T. Right toes will turn back to face the front of the mat. In my body, I have to take my left leg and kind of heel toe it back a little bit to get the T shape again in my feet. Once you've found your T, rebend the front right knee. Hips stay open, hands can hold hips or lift open wide. Eyes over front middle finger. 5 breaths to stay. To exit, return your hands to your hips. Start to straighten the front leg and heel toe the back foot in a whole lot until the feet are really close together. And it's quite simple to shift the hips forward, coming to the tippy toes of the back foot, step to the top, find your chair, and wiggle in any way that feels good. Warrior 3. Hands hold the chair while you walk your feet back until the upper body is parallel-ish with the mat. Feet come together, big toes touch, heels do not. And the weight shifts to the right leg while the knees stay soft. Left foot considers leaving the ground or staying. If it's leaving, shoot the leg back behind you and lift it as high as your body will allow. Feeling a straight line from fingers to foot and feeling your pinky toe point down towards the earth regardless of how high it is up off the ground. We'll exit by letting both knees bend a little as the left foot comes down to meet the right. From here, keep holding on to the chair while you walk the feet forward. And when you make it to the top of the mat, release the chair, roll out through your shoulders, and stand tall with your hands by your sides, palms facing forward. Perhaps the eyes can stay closed while we take 3 big, slow breaths. While you breathe, just notice how your body feels. And in your own time, settle into a normal posture as your eyes open again. And know that this practice is now in your toolbox. You can use Warrior 1, Warrior 2, and Warrior 3 anytime you'd like to build a bit more liveliness, heat, or energy in the body.